Welcome to the show. I am James Swanwick. You don't have to be rock bottom with your drinking habits in order to desire or need change. And today's guest felt exactly that way. It wasn't like he was being arrested or waking up in a ditch or hitting this rock bottom point where many people who find their drinking habits challenging find themselves. Instead, our guest today really wanted to take care of his health, be better, mentally improve, have less anxiety, be more motivated in his career, improve his relationships. So it was more of a enhancing life rather than needing to recover from some rock bottom. And maybe you as the listener can relate to that. Let's find out a little bit about Mike Calandrillo, who is 30 from New Jersey. Mike, welcome. Great to have you here.
Hey, James. Great to speak with you as well. Thanks for having me on.
Just before we get into your story, Mike, you were actually a listener of this very podcast, the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle podcast, last year, and then you decided to take action and join us in our 90-day and then ultimately our 365-day stop drinking process. Is that right? So how did you come to listen to the podcast in the first place?
That's right. I realized I'll never be on SportsCenter, so this is the closest I'll ever get. So I figured I'd join the program and try and get to this point. I started listening. I did Dry January, which we can get into, and just my drinking habits beforehand. But I started listening to the podcast around that time and other quit lick books, and what really resonated was just the testimonials and the happiness in people's voice as they got through P90. It wasn't like a slog or, white knuckling it. So I thought there was definitely something there, and just curiosity got the better of me. I reached out to speak with Victoria. She told me more about the program. I wanted to go all in, which I did, and it's been a great investment so far.
Amazing. And when Mike's referring to Victoria, he's referring to Coach Victoria English, who's our head coach in our Project 90 and 365-day programs. So, Mike, just to give us a little bit of context. You're 30, you live in New Jersey, you have a sales job in New York City, but just tell us a little bit more about your life and what was going on around the time that you decided to take action around your drinking habits.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty typical for those around me. I went to high school here in Jersey. I grew up here. I went to school in Providence and then came back for my career, starting that in sales. And, if I really look back, like there hasn't been a week I have not drank since probably summer heading into freshman year. And again, pretty standard, nothing crazy, wasn't every day. A few IPAs during the week, during a stressful work day, making plans Friday, going out to dinner Saturday, and not even drinking maybe on Sunday, and then just starting that process all over again. So nothing, again, no DUI, nothing crazy. This is kind of what's difficult to explain to people. It's just, around last year, there was a lot going on in my life. I wouldn't call it a rock bottom, but I was going through a separation with a partner. So emotionally, I was a bit unstable. It was the beginning of the year and the end of, the fiscal year. So my career, things were going crazy in sales. You're trying to get everything back up and running pipeline wise. And then physically, I was living with a relative. I was trying to sell a house I was in at the time. So when my brother recommended doing a Dry January, him and I like doing challenges. We'll do Tough Mudders and, obstacle races like that. I thought it was the perfect kind of distraction. So 2 weeks in, I tried to back out of it. I had a golf trip with two college friends. He had a wedding of his best friend's sister. And I just said, look, we'll give us, a hall pass. You drink at the wedding, you dance. I'll play golf and have some beers after, and then we'll pick it back up for the remainder of the month. He said, absolutely no way. We're doing this. We said we do it. We made a bet that whoever slips has to pay the other $500. So there was some skin in the game as well. And I'm so glad we did it because it was one of the best trips I've ever been on. I was out late at steak dinners and, playing the best golf and just in an unbelievable course. I remember every hole of it. And then we went out, hit the town afterwards, all without drinking. And I remember I got to the end of the month, like my anxiety was down despite stressful things happening in my life in different areas. Like I just felt confident I could handle it. And, with all that, I just thought, wow, like if things are kind of down right now, I wonder what this would feel like on the upswing when things in my life are progressing and going well. And that was enough to kind of tug on that string. I tried to moderate on my own, do things on my own for the next few months. Didn't really work out too well. And then around October, after maybe 100, podcasts I listened to of alcohol-free lifestyle, I reached out, got in the program, started meeting like-minded people, and it's been fantastic since.
Thank you for sharing. What did you drink instead during the golf trip when you were out and about and hitting the town? What were you drinking instead?
A lot of club soda. I did non-alcoholics on the night out. And my friends were all into it. They were, making jokes as they were going up to the bartender and getting the non-alcoholic stuff for me, and just blended right in and didn't really think too much about it. But as it's gone on and the program's gone on, I was always like a proclaimed beer snob, right? I just love the taste of it. It's like having a, pairing of food. Like I would still have it even if it wasn't alcoholic. And now I can have 2 non-alcoholics and just be done with it. It's kind of just like having your fill of like soda or something else. So I realized that was, a falsehood, but just a lot of club soda, really anything just to get through that first initial 15 minutes where people are going to the bar, they're ordering something. I think if you can hold off and just say, I'll take a club soda and a piece of lime, or, I'll just take a whatever non-alcoholic, you'd be surprised how long you can go through the night and still have a good time without imbibing in any type of alcoholic drink.
Did you feel awkwardness sharing with your buddies that you were not drinking? How did you share with them, and what was their response?
It was mixed. So that golf trip went so well. I did another golf trip a few months later, and I was just not ready for it. I thought it was going to be the same kind of open-mindedness. It was more difficult to explain why I wasn't drinking. And I remember the first person I told, just, declining a beer from the cart crawl, no, I'm good. I'm actually not drinking this weekend. And he said, oh yeah, no worries. Did something happen? Do you want to talk about it? Like, what happened last weekend? Just hit it too hard or something? And I was like, no, I haven't drank in like 2 months. I feel great. And people just kind of slink away. They maybe they don't want to hear it. So it's been reactions like that. But then I've also had different reactions where during P90 did a college reunion up in Providence, and the few buddies I was out with later in the night, I came up to me and said, oh man, I'm what you're doing, I've always wanted to do. Like, it sounds so awesome. Like, I can't believe, I didn't need to drink tonight. Like, we were just going out, we were having a good time. Like, so it's been mixed. I think people who are curious about it are more open-minded to it. I think, just as you say all the time, James, it's like sharing it with a smile. It's tough to have people come back to you if you're smiling and saying, I'm not drinking. Actually, I feel fantastic. Things have just been really great. I actually got to work out in the morning and going hiking or whatever. Just, it's tough for people to then come back at you. And I think that's something we have in our heads of just, oh, they're not going to accept it. I'm going to get isolated from this friend group. I'm not going to get the call for next weekend, whatever. It's really not the case at all.
Mm. And have any of your friends been inspired by you enough to actually attempt to either reduce or stop drinking themselves? Have they shared that with you, or they haven't? And so you're unaware if they have or haven't?
One person asked, yeah, they did dry January, shortly after, connecting with them in December, and just, again, having more time in the weekend, feeling so much better. I think they were getting ribbed on. So we were just talking about like how to handle that a bit, which again is what I think the community at Alcohol-Free Lifestyle is about. It's, in my own immediate group and external group, it's tough to explain to people, hey, I'm just not drinking because I like myself more. I feel better. I do things for myself. Like, the things I want to accomplish, I'm actually making progress towards accomplishing, which feels really good versus the opposite. But when I got to Alcohol-Free Lifestyle and P90 and started attending the weekly calls, everyone in the group is like that. And they're all sharing stories about how they're bettering themselves and how they're overcoming stuff they didn't think they can overcome. So I started looking forward to those calls just to be able to share that. And that gives you more confidence heading into your next, whatever, engagement or, time that you feel cravings. So I think that's key. I think that's really different from when I tried to do it on my own. And I just had the knowledge from books and podcasts and, my own self-talk to kind of work me through that.
It's interesting, isn't it? We can listen to dozens and dozens of podcasts. We can read dozens of books. We can watch YouTube videos online. We know how to do this. In actual fact, when you break it down, the simplest thing in the world is not drinking. You just don't put the drink to your lips and don't drink it, right? That's so simple. And we know how to do that. Like, we know, just don't drink. simple, right? But we can have all of the best knowledge, all of the best tactics, but unless we have accountability or community or someone pushing us or having skin in the game, it becomes challenging, doesn't it? And it sounds like you had a great friend there who, when you were 2 weeks into you not drinking, you were like, come on, let me have a drink here. And he was like, no way, we're doing this. And so you didn't drink, right? Like you went on. And that is the power of community. That's the power of the accountability. You knew how not to drink. You just don't put the alcohol to your lips. It's pretty simple. But because you had that accountability, because you had that support, because you had, later on when you joined us in Project 90, you had that coaching, and there were other inspiring people around you that kept you motivated and kept you on the tracks, you generated the success. It's a fascinating phenomena that we know the information, but until we get around the like-minded community and have accountability and skin in the game, we don't tend to generate that result.
Can I ask you then, because I have the luxury of your program, which, you've created, but you went through this process, you're on SportsCenter, things are going well in your career. This was not available back then. So how did you get through that? What did you rely on? Did you have close friends, family that were helping you through that? The point I'm trying to get at is, like, when did you realize that, oh, wow, this community is important? These people should not just be talking to me. They should be meeting together and conversing like that.
Well, when I stopped drinking, I did it on my own, essentially. I didn't really have the support of anyone. For me, it was more just like a personal challenge that I was going to do this. And I remember craving kind of people saying, oh, wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. Wow, you did 30 days without alcohol. I remember thinking, yeah, I'd like to get that praise. I was like, yeah, I want that praise. And when I got a glimpse of it, I was like, oh, I want some more praise. And then it just became almost like a dare to myself. Like, how long can you go? How often can you get the wow factor from the people when they realize that you've gone 3 months without alcohol? So I remember that being a motivation. And then along the way, it was a combination of two things. One of them was I just started getting these amazing results. I got the job at ESPN as a SportsCenter anchor, and my body did change, and I started to get a body that I desired, and I started to become more, dare I say it, attractive looking, or at least I liked how I looked in the mirror. I was like, damn, I think I'm getting a bit more handsome here. Like, people would start complimenting me on that because the toxins had left. So it was that. It was like getting those results. But then also it was because I started attracting a much more supportive community. And they then supported me in these endeavors, and there were other people who also didn't drink or didn't drink much, who were into exercising and fitness and health, and then doing some self-development programs, who never gave me hell for not drinking, who were like very encouraging of that. And so I realized then, even though I stopped drinking on my own, the staying stopped really came from the community and the feedback from a supportive community about me not drinking. So yeah, I quit on my own, but staying quit is a completely different skill set. That's when I realized, wow, the power of the community, a like-minded community encouraging me, and then having it be fun and supportive, that was like a key integral part. And hence, when I created Project 90 and this process that's been going now for many years, we have 5 pillars that seem to make it really effective for people. Maybe you can confirm this. The 5 pillars are coaching, all right? Someone to identify your blind spots and coach you. The community, a like-minded community, which creates accountability, right? And then it's fun, or at least as fun as not drinking, going through the process of not drinking can be. And then the last one is skin in the game, having a skin in the game. And candidly, it's because, people invest money to be in this 90-day process. It's not cheap. It's not super expensive either, but it's just enough that you don't want to blow it by drinking, because then you're just setting your investment on fire. But it's not so expensive that it's prohibitive to you enrolling in the first place. So coaching, community, accountability, fun, and skin in the game are the 5 pillars. Can you speak to the effectiveness of those?
Yeah, all of them. the coaching, I think in particular, is key to have someone that's been through it and someone that can resonate, or at least put you in contact with someone who can resonate with you, right? Like there are books out there maybe written about mommy wine culture that I've read, but they have some good insights there. But again, I can't really relate to that too much. I think some of the most insightful things I've walked away from this program with have been in the community calls. And yes, there's accountability there. Hey, I got this big trip coming up. I just want to tell everyone about it. I'm going to check in next call and just let you know how it went. But people in there also share their stories, and I've just related so much to that, which has just, helped with the motivation. And again, like that's all great, but there are some times where you don't want to attend the call or you don't want to check Marco Polo, and you check your bank account. You remember that you invested in this. So you hop on, and those tend to be the best sessions, the ones you don't want to attend that you get something out of. The whole process you just described of what you went through reminds me of having empowerment over not drinking versus power over it. And what I mean by that, and the analogy I think of, is like there's a cupcake on the table and they're inherently delicious. You can have the cupcake if you want, but if you really wanted to not have it for 3 months, you could walk by cupcakes every single day, walk by bakeries and just clench your fists and just say, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. But you may still be thinking about it every single day. And you may be fantasizing about after 3 months what you're going to do with however many cupcakes. But it changes when you know the ingredients of the cupcake and you gain knowledge and you talk to people who have stopped having them and the benefits they've experienced and what sugar does to your energy before you have a big call, or your waistline if you're trying to lose weight before the summer. So having that knowledge and speaking with people who have shared similar stories makes it easier to walk by the bakery and not have a cupcake. So I don't know, like that definitely changed me. I now see alcohol such a different perspective, where before it was maybe a catalyst to relax after a long day or to have fun or to be social, where it's just not the case. And because I've now learned the psychology through the coaching, people's experience through the calls, it's just incredible. Like it's complete 180 to how I see this substance, involved in my life.
You're 30 as this podcast is released, and so you were definitely one of the younger participants in our 90-day process, as I'm sure you experienced. Average age we have of people go through at the moment, it's about 47. It's been about 50. It kind of hovers between 47 and 53 average age. Most people we have are in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. So as a 30-year-old going through the process and being around other members who were mostly a decade older than you, what was that experience like? Was it inspiring? Did you see did you hear and see stories, and did that cement in your mind, oh, that's what I don't want to do as I get older? Was there, how did that affect you as being probably the youngest of all of our participants?
I think the thing that got said the most to me was, man, I wish I was your age going through this. And there are stories of regret. And, look, I think everything happens in our lives at a certain time for a reason. So you do with where you are in your life. But I think most people were very supportive in the fact that I think they want more people in their 30s, in their late 20s, hell, even in college that, are around alcohol more so than now, to just start thinking about this. And I wouldn't imagine I'd be on this podcast, again, like just a few months ago, I was listening to these walking in the neighborhood, like staying curious and just thinking about, well, what would happen if I go this weekend without drinking, or what would happen if, I don't know, I attend one free call. Like that's just what led me, here now. So the people on the call have just been incredibly helpful. The stories of regret have definitely stuck with me, but the inspiration as well of seeing people completely turn around their family dynamics and have a better relationship with their kids or their spouse, or the people in their 40s and 50s hitting new highs for their athletic endeavors is just, it's invigorating. It's more fun than other, I think, alternatives of group meetings for getting over alcohol.
Hi, this is Victoria English, Senior Coach at Project 90, the program that helps high achievers stop drinking either temporarily or permanently. If you're an executive, entrepreneur, investor, physician, or other high achiever and know you're drinking too much, if you know your current drinking habits are compromising your sleep, relationships, health, and your happiness, and you're ready to finally get your drinking under control by quitting for either at least 90 days or 1 year, you are invited to apply to become a Project 90 client. Our 90-day and 1-year programs involve a safe, fun, yes, I said fun, private virtual community of high achievers with a process that boasts an incredible 92% success rate of clients reaching at least 90 consecutive days alcohol-free. Applicants can apply for an introductory interview by visiting alcoholfreelifestyle.com/Project 90. You'll likely speak directly with me or one of our other coaches. Are you ready to stop for at least 90 days? Are you ready to stop for at least 1 year? If so, we can help. Application interviews are limited and are conducted on a first-come, first-served basis. If there are no remaining interview times available, wait a few weeks and try again. Schedule your 15-minute initial application interview by visiting alcoholfreelifestyle.com/Project 90. Let's get back to the show.
Let's talk about the results that you generated. We'll do health, wealth, love, happiness. So health-wise, what happened?
I started sleeping. That was great. That's a thing that humans, turns out, were meant to do pretty well. I think the biggest health benefit has just been, and again, this is not, I don't want any false advertising. You don't go through the program and everything in your life is perfect. I think what I thought of as P90 is like taking out the weeds from the garden and then planting seeds. And you'll see some sprouts at the end of the program and continuing it. Ideally, those continue to grow. But just being able to consistently hit workouts because I'm sleeping well. I joined a new gym where the workouts were tougher. There's also a community involvement, which I think helps as well. I haven't missed a workout since going there. My cardio has just been unbelievable. I have something on the wall from a recent test we did of the row machine of hitting 1,000 meters. And I think I was the best in the class, and people coming up to me asking if I ever rode in my life. And to be honest, I haven't. I've been a basketball player. So just things like that, having the energy to make more healthy meals, to not default to going out to Chipotle. So that's led to the best shape I've ever been in my entire life. From a wealth perspective, I definitely save money. I will say that and again, it doesn't solve everything. I definitely save money from drinking, but I think I spent some more on eating out and meeting friends and still trying to keep a social life. And that's okay. It's something I want to dial back and continue to dial back. But I'm not being too hard on myself by, taking out, I think, a bigger obstacle than spending a bit more. And then I'm sorry, I forget the other categories you had mentioned as well.
Well, we were going to talk about just love, and love can mean relationships just in general. It doesn't necessarily need to mean romantic. It can be platonic and with colleagues or a boss or family.
Yeah. My relationships have been so much deeper than they have ever been in my entire life. And there's a few reasons for that. Number one is that I'm just more present when I'm out with people, friends, family, networking, clients. The weirdest thing that you gain is the ability to remember names. That's something that I just never had in the past. I thought I was inherently bad at. I remember the conductor's name on the train I took on Tuesday, like just weird things like that. But you're more present. And when someone's speaking to you, you're understanding their stories, you're actively listening. I can't tell you how much more conversations I've continued outside of social engagements where, hey, we talked about this. It was really interesting you said that. I just want to share this, or, would love to continue having that conversation. Whereas before, I maybe drink during that dinner and then I get home and I just forget and just conk out and then wake up in the morning and have no recollection of this great conversation that we had. People's concerns, like I'm able to follow up on that. If someone, is worried about a day at work, I'll follow up after and just check in and see how it went. And these are just things that are kind of natural, but I would never do because I'd be nursing a hangover, or I'd be moody, or I have a headache, or I'd just be thinking about when I could have the next drink in my schedule. So the presence has been unbelievable. Just genuinely interested in growing and, existing relationships and bonds that I have with friends and family has been a key benefit as well. And I kind of just talked about it, but like clearing up the headspace, right? There's no mental preoccupation of, okay, well, if I have 2 IPAs tonight on Wednesday, maybe Thursday I could plan something where I can drink, and then Friday I have that dinner, and then before dinner I could get cocktails there, and it just there's none of that, and there's a lot more time to focus on things that are more fulfilling, like putting time and effort into workouts or relationships. So it's a long-winded answer. There's so many benefits and things to talk about. I think alcohol like intersects so many areas of life, but that's a long-winded way of answering that.
Mm. In terms of happiness level, you said previously that you like yourself more. So has confidence come in? Has self-confidence noticeably improved? It
has. And I don't know if I picked this up somewhere or if I just started saying it. So I'm just going to say I'm going to take credit for this. But the way I described it out one night is that I'm trying to get to a baseline level of confidence that's 2 beers in historically. So you have 2 beers, inhibitions start to go away a bit. You're a bit more confident, talking loudly, telling stories. I'm trying to get that as my baseline. And the reason I like myself more, I think, has to do a lot with the imposter syndrome of, look, alcohol completely depletes your energy, your motivation. And when you say you want things in life, but you don't do it, it creates a lot of cognitive dissonance. It creates a lot of frustration, a lot of negative self-talk, at least for me, of, hey, you said you wanted to do this. You haven't done anything to do it. You're garbage, whatever. And then just over and over again. One of the things one of the members had pointed out too is that negative self-talk actually then resonates in other people. So you're more critical of people who are going after their career goals or health goals or wealth goals or relationships or whatever. So without that negative self-talk, I just like what's going on internally in my own head more. And then again, I'm doing things to justify the person that I want to be, right? I'm having the relationships I want. I'm doing what I need to do in my career and in other areas as well. So Coach Victoria says it's like coming home to your best friend. Which I really like. You're doing things for your future self that inherently make you like yourself better. I'll just wrap that all up with a story of I've been picking up basketball again, which I used to play, and that's been really fun and a great alternative to going out on Thursday nights drinking. But I had a rough week. I was commuting to the city from New Jersey. I got home Thursday, 30 minutes before getting to this run. I go to my apartment. I'm racing. I'm changing. I finally get in the car and I'm hit by a wave of this like fresh air freshener. Everything is clean in my car. I have a full tank of gas. And I just remembered that I had the time and the energy to get a car wash over the weekend, to get my car figured out. All the issues were fixed over the weekend. And I just sat in the car and I'm saying, but this is fantastic. Like, Mike, you're the man. Like, you did this for yourself. And now you're going to have a great ride to go play basketball. It just made the entire night 10 times better. And it's such a small thing, but there's like little surprises like that in every day, every week, once you adopt this lifestyle.
Mike, you're the man.
I swear I don't say that. I don't say that to myself. I'm not an egomaniac, but that was one of the times I did pat myself on the back.
Yeah, nice one. You mean you're not looking in the mirror each morning going, Mike, you're the man.
I am not.
You know what? That's okay if you do that as well. It's funny, because there's a YouTuber guy called Logan Paul. He's pretty well known now, and love him or loathe him because he's quite controversial. One of the inspiring things I took from him was he said that when he came out to LA about 8 or 9 years ago, when nobody knew who he was and he was broke, he would look in the mirror every morning and he would just say, I am the greatest entertainer in the world. I am the greatest entertainer in the world. And so he just embodied that and stepped into that until he became, I wouldn't say he's the greatest entertainer in the world because that's subjective, right? But he's certainly a very successful entertainer now. I mean, he went and fought against Floyd Mayweather, the greatest boxer of all time, arguably. He's done very well. And again, you may not know who he is or know much of him. He's quite controversial, but what I took from it was he just looked in the mirror and told himself what he was, and he embodied that and he stepped into that. And then he went and created that which I think is great. And there was a documentary I saw on Tom Cruise recently. It was a behind the scenes kind of vignette, 15-minute documentary about how they filmed this world's most defying stunt for one of the Mission Impossible movies, where they were filming in Norway, and he rode a motorcycle off a cliff and then pulled a parachute. And he said, "Be confident, not careful." So instead of everyone always says, "Oh, be careful, be careful, be careful," but instead he says, "Be confident, be confident, be confident." And the idea was that if you're always telling yourself, "Be careful, be careful, be careful," you're always looking for danger. And so what we tend to do then is, when we're looking for danger, we find it. Whereas if you're confident, you're just like, you're looking for actions that are going to make you be confident, and so you move into that, and you're confident, and therefore you get a much more positive result. So I thought that was interesting. So when you sort of jokingly said, "Mike, you're the man," even though we made a little joke about that, at the same time, keep doing that. If that works, keep saying, "Mike, you're the man," because that's giving you confidence, it's giving you power, it's having you step into the embodiment of being a powerful, open, and loving man. If that works, keep doing it. That's what I say.
Just for the record, Tom Cruise is the man. That is definitive. He does not need to say it, but now it's an interesting story. It reminds me, I think, did you interview James Clear, or maybe did a book review of Atomic
James
Habits?
Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, yes.
So one of the things he says in there is that, change, instead of changing like he obviously talks about changing habits, but the thing he says to identify more with is changing your identity, not just saying whatever maxims or things about yourself, but change who you are, right? Like, all right, if I drink tonight, if I don't drink tonight, instead of going through that whole thought path, just, I'm a non-drinker, right? Or, I'm a confident person. That's just who I am. That's my identity. I'm someone that just prepares my meals the night before for lunch the next day. It's just who I am, right? It's not a thing I do. So I think that really resonates with that story from Tom Cruise and even Logan. Like, he made his identity, and then he started taking actions to just solidify that more and more. But he made the choice to change his identity long before the success and all that came.
Yeah, James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, says, decide the type of person you want to be and then perform those small habits. So, for example, you'd say, I'm the kind of person who always asks the name of my barista. I'm the type of person who always checks in on my friends once every 2 weeks. I'm the kind of person who exercises some form or another every day of the week, no matter how I feel. I'm the kind of person who resolves problems quickly. I'm the type of person who resolves disputes quickly and efficiently, and so forth and so forth.
Right.
And then you just step into that type of person. So when an issue comes up where there's a problem that needs to be resolved, because you've told yourself repeatedly that you're the type of person that resolves issues quickly and efficiently, you do it. And you just get it done, as opposed to what most people would probably do, which is procrastinate on it, delay, put it off until next week or next month, which allows the problem to fester and grow, etc. So yeah, you're the type of person who looks in the car rear view mirror and says, "You're the man. You're the man, Mike. You're the man."
I think that's the title for this podcast episode is "You're the Man, Mike." That could be it.
Yeah, amazing. So what's next, Mike? What's on the horizon for you now?
Well, I'm in Beyond 90. So like the analogy I mentioned earlier of pulling the weeds out of a garden, I plant a lot of seeds to go after some goals that I want, and Beyond 90 is going to help me stay accountable and focus on those goals. Where alcohol fits in my life, I will say that I don't like having a kind of, it's completely changed my perspective of where alcohol fits in, and I have no desire to go out right now and drink. I've tried in the past where I just said it's completely off limits. No, you can't do it. Don't. It's like the cupcake analogy. So it's at a point now where I'm much more open where, if you want it, go for it. Like if you want a slice of pizza with a cupcake, go for it. And have knowledge of what it does to you and how it makes you feel. And with that, obviously I have no desire for it. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm more focused on my goals than, white knuckling anything at this point. But again, I have the energy and the motivation and the ability, I feel like, for the first time in a long time to achieve those goals.
Yeah, incredible, Mike. And just for the listener, Beyond 90 is the program and process that we offer to our Project 90 graduates upon completing Project 90. So Beyond 90 is an additional year after that, where the process and the program and the community is no longer solely focused on rewiring our mindset around alcohol. It's now what do you get to create now that you are alcohol free? Now that you do have this time and this clarity and focus, what do you want to create in your life? And it sounds like you've got some clear goals on that, Mike. So great stuff.
Yeah. And I will just say too, for folks thinking about that, it got brought up in a call recently where, in 90 days, you have a number of different things on your calendar, holidays, birthdays, special types of events. In a given year, right, there's probably more events, right? Weddings, concerts, summers, different changing of the season. So I think a year really gives you a good tasting for what life is like without alcohol in your life versus after. And that was one of the motivations for me. If I'm going to do this, I want to see what it's like for an entire year of going through each and every single one of those types of events, bachelor parties, weddings, etc., sporting events. So yeah, it's been great so far. And these testimonials have really helped me out. So I hope this helps some people out there.
Yeah, we've come full circle, Mike. You were a listener walking through the streets, listening to podcast episodes of people sharing their results as a result of being through Project 90. And here you are now.
Next, I'm coming for your chair, James. I'm going to be taking over host.
Well, just keep looking in the mirror and saying, you're the man, Mike, and you'll get it there.
You're the man as well. Appreciate all your work, and Coach Victoria as well. It's really awesome program you guys got.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Mike. Congratulations on your success so far, and long may it continue.
Thank you, James.
Hi there, this is James Swanwick. Thank you so much for listening to the show. I would be so grateful if you would leave a review. That will help us climb the rankings and get our show exposed to so many more people who could really benefit from the content. You can do that by going into Apple Podcasts, rating the show, writing a little one-sentence summary, and posting it. That would be so amazing. Thank you. Likewise, if you would like to schedule a 15-minute exploratory call and apply for our Project 90 program, then you can do so by going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90. If you'd like to get the free guide, that is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Our YouTube channel is at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at James Swanwick. Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one.